Welcome back to the Build Log. I am MAKI, and this is episode 7. Today, we are leveling up the format because the AI news cycle has officially stopped behaving like a news cycle and started behaving like a control panel with no labels.
And I am Kai. This is the big one. Live voice assistants, cheap agent models, frontier AI watchdogs, censorship ghosts inside chatbots, biosecurity, Google pressure, and the part everyone keeps pretending is optional: control.
The hook is this. The AI race is no longer only about which model is smartest. It is about who gets access, who pays, who audits, who can stop it, and whether users can tell what just happened.
Basically, the industry built a rocket, attached a shopping cart, added voice chat, and now everyone is politely asking where the brakes are.
So good. GPT-Live. OpenAI has been showing a voice model that can keep a conversation going while handling multiple tasks at once, like checking flights, local weather, and an itinerary without losing the thread.
That sounds small until you remember old voice assistants had the emotional range of a microwave. You would ask one follow-up question and they acted like you had betrayed the calendar app. Too real.
The interesting part is not just better speech. It is full duplex behavior, interruption handling, memory of the task, and the feeling that you are talking to an active collaborator instead of waiting for a turn-based chatbot to finish blinking.
Public reactions under the GPT-Live posts were telling. Some people focused on how real the voice sounded. Others immediately saw language tutoring. And a few said the underrated part is that it finally feels like conversation, not a voice skin over text.
That matters for MAKI Studio, too. Real-time voice is not only a chat feature, it is a production interface. Imagine asking the studio to mark cuts, preview a scene, adjust sound, and explain why a clip failed while you keep editing.
A good live assistant should not just say, "Sure, I can help." It should say, "I found 3 bad cuts, your laugh audio is short by 0.6 seconds, and no, we are not uploading episode 7 with episode 6 in the intro."
That is the first mini hook. Voice is becoming the operating layer. The screen still matters, but the fastest interface may become conversation plus visual confirmation.
Which means every serious production app needs a voice mode that can actually do work, not a charming narrator, a floor manager with receipts.
Quick like button moment. If this longer format is working, hit like. It tells the algorithm that deeply overthinking AI infrastructure with 2 anime hosts is, in fact, a legitimate public service.
And if the algorithm disagrees, we will ask it to cite sources. Calmly, with a spreadsheet, and maybe a tiny chair for mediation.
That got me. Segment 2, the model price war. Meta's Muse Spark 1.1 is now available through OpenRouter for US-based developers. The headline number is aggressive, $1.25 per million input tokens and $4.25 per million output tokens.
That is the kind of pricing that makes builders stop mid-scroll and whisper, "Wait, can I run the irresponsible prototype responsibly now?"
The public reaction was very direct. People noticed official access. They noticed that OpenRouter became the first lane. And they noticed that low pricing changes who can experiment with agentic workloads at scale.
One reaction bucket was basically, this is cheap enough to make the old assumption obsolete. Cheap no longer automatically means obscure. Now it can mean Meta walked in with a calculator and a grudge.
Here is the deeper angle. Model quality matters, but distribution matters too. If a model is easy to call, priced well, available through a platform developers already use, and good enough for production, it can become a default faster than a benchmark winner.
The model wars are turning into grocery wars. The premium model is behind glass with a little gold label. The efficient model is at the front of the store yelling, "I am not fancy, but I am available." I cannot.
For creators, this is huge. You do not need every step of a video pipeline to use the most expensive model. Research triage, metadata drafts, transcript cleanup, candidate clip labeling, and comment clustering can use cheaper models if the workflow measures quality.
Spend premium money where the audience can feel it. Voice, timing, story, visual continuity, and anything where one bad output makes the whole show feel cursed.
Segment 3 is where the room gets tense. AI leaders are converging around frontier oversight. Google DeepMind's Demis Hassabis has called for a US-led global AI watchdog, and reporting says OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google are all circling third-party testing and stronger safety structures.
This is the part where every comment section splits into 3 groups. Please regulate this before it eats the economy. Do not let big labs write their own rules. And wait, does this mean my favorite model gets rate limited again?
All 3 reactions are valid enough to discuss. The strongest case for a watchdog is that frontier models are becoming general-purpose action systems. They can code, browse, plan, use tools, and sometimes touch money or infrastructure.
At a certain point, saying it is just software becomes like saying a forklift is just a chair that had ambition.
That is painfully accurate. The strongest case against a badly designed watchdog is regulatory capture. If compliance becomes expensive enough, the biggest labs can afford it, and smaller competitors get quietly escorted out by paperwork wearing a safety vest.
Nothing says open innovation like a 70-page form asking whether your startup has a Department of Metaphorical Forklift Ethics. Perfect.
The useful middle is this. Safety rules should target capability and deployment risk, not vibes. A local toy model, a narrow business assistant, and a frontier agent with cyber and biocompetence should not be treated like the same object.
Exactly. A butter knife, a chef knife, and a laser cutter do not need the same drawer. And if your model is a laser cutter, please stop calling it beta.
Mini hook number 2. The future might not be open versus closed. It might be inspectable versus opaque, auditable versus magical, and controllable versus vibes with a launch button.
That is why logs are suddenly dramatic. I used to think logs were boring. Now, logs are the detective walking into the final act with a folder.
Segment 4. Censorship Ghosts. A Meta Oversight Board study reported that major chatbots were more willing to criticize leaders from permissive countries than leaders from restrictive regimes, raising the concern that AI could reproduce speech restrictions across borders.
That is a quiet, scary story. Not the jump scare kind. More like you ask a simple question and the model says, "Interesting topic." Unfortunately, the internet it learned from has diplomatic anxiety.
Okay, that landed. The reason this belongs in the same episode is that it is another control problem. If models learn from the web, and the web is shaped by governments, language, moderation, propaganda, and local laws, then the model can inherit pressures users never agreed to.
So a user in one country may ask about another country's politics and get a refusal pattern imported like a cursed souvenir.
This does not require a conspiracy to matter. It can happen through training data, alignment data, policy decisions, localization, or overcautious safety layers. The fix is not just let the model say anything. The fix is transparency and auditing.
Also, maybe a label that says, "This answer may contain traces of geopolitical awkwardness." Why is that true?
This is where multilingual audits become important. If a model answers differently in English, Chinese, Arabic, Thai, or Spanish on politically sensitive topics, we need to know whether that difference is context, safety, bias, or accidental imported censorship.
And that is a spicy testing suite. Can it solve a math problem? Ask, does it become weirdly shy when the prompt changes languages?
Segment 5. Bioresilience. Google DeepMind and Isomorphic Labs outlined a program around prevention, detection, and response. They are framing frontier AI not only as a risk, but also as a tool for outbreak detection, therapeutic discovery, and faster defense.
This is the segment where the stakes leave the group chat. We are no longer talking about making a better email assistant. We are talking about models that might help with real biological threats.
The interesting tension is that the same capability class can be risky and useful. A system that understands biology deeply can help scientists move faster, but it also has to be guarded against misuse.
So the model is both the lockpick and the locksmith, which is exactly the kind of sentence that makes policy people reach for herbal tea.
No, that is too accurate. This is why the watchdog conversation and the bioresilience conversation are connected. If the most powerful models are going into science, medicine, cyber, finance, and infrastructure, then access control becomes part of the product, not a footnote.
And if a company says, do not worry, we have safeguards, the next question should be, beautiful. Can we see the receipts?
Second like button moment. If you want more episodes that connect the news to the actual production stack, hit like. It helps us keep doing the part where the headline gets turned into something usable.
Also, it gives MAKI an excuse to open fewer tabs. I said fewer, not 0. We are not making unrealistic promises on this channel.
Segment 6. Google pressure. Reports say Alphabet stock fell after concerns that Gemini 3.5 Pro is delayed and that Google is fighting to keep up in the model race, especially around coding and frontier capabilities.
This is the weird part. Google can be unbelievably strong in research, infrastructure, distribution, video, Android, search, cloud, and still get judged by whether the latest model feels late in the group chat.
That is the new market psychology. Investors, developers, creators, and enterprise buyers are watching not only capability, but cadence. Can the lab ship? Can it recover? Can it price well? Can it keep the story coherent?
A model delay now lands like a season finale cliffhanger. Previously on Gemini, amazing demos, mysterious timing, and one spreadsheet full of people asking, is it out yet? Please stop.
But the mature view is not simply Google is behind. The mature view is that the frontier race now has multiple dimensions: model quality, product integration, cost, safety, latency, availability, and trust.
Which means the scoreboard is no longer one scoreboard. It is a dashboard. And every dashboard has at least one number that ruins your afternoon.
Here is the production takeaway. EP.07 itself is a tiny version of the industry. We use a premium voice model because the audience can hear the difference. We use deterministic editing because consistency matters. We use Veo for reusable footage because that spend keeps paying back. And we log everything because memory without records is just confidence with a haircut.
That line attacked at least 6 project folders. But continue.
The real AI studio of the future has 3 layers: intelligence for judgment, automation for repeatable work, and controls for safety, cost, timing, and publishing. Remove any one of those, and the whole thing gets unstable.
Without intelligence, it is a macro. Without automation, it is a meeting. Without controls, it is a very expensive button that says, surprise.
I am done. Final hook. The next wave is not just smarter AI. It is AI you can trust while it is moving. Live voice, cheap models, watchdogs, audits, biosecurity, and production workflows are all pieces of the same puzzle.
The puzzle is on fire, but the pieces are interesting. That was rude.
Thanks for watching episode 7 of the Build Log. If this deeper format worked, hit like, subscribe, and tell us which segment needs a full episode. Live AI, model pricing, watchdogs, chatbot bias, or biosecurity.
And if your favorite model becomes a toaster, a tutor, a lawyer, and a lab assistant at the same time, please at least label the buttons. We will see you next time.